Welcome to the Paradise Paradox. My name is Aaron Battle.
My name's Kurt Robinson. Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us. So today in the news, Craig Wright, Satoshi Nakamoto, reputed to be the inventor of Bitcoin, but actually could be not the inventor of Bitcoin, arrested, charged, raided, and a lot of people are speculating about the true identity of Satoshi Nakamoto. Is it Craig Wright? Is it someone completely different who you've never heard of and never will meet in your life?
Yeah, he's got a lot of technical knowledge, presents Bitcoin well. Questionable steps, though.
Yep.
We go through the news, we bring it all up, our points of view. You know, whether we think he's the man or he isn't, he's a man. And he does know.
Yeah, we are all
Bitcoin.
Satoshi Nakamoto, so I guess that makes him part of that movement. So, so we go through the Wired, the Gizmodo, the Vice articles, and some other analysis talking about Nick Szabo's handwriting to find out if Craig Wright really is Satoshi Nakamoto, and take a guess. So jump right in. You can jump onto YouTube and press subscribe on there and press like, and you can press like on Facebook as well. Hold your mouse cursor over the like button and press get notifications, because that'll make sure you stay in touch. Keep a strong telepathic link with us, and you can jump onto iTunes and press subscribe on iTunes, Pocket Cast, Podcast Addict if you're using Android. And you can head over to theparadiseparadox.com or donate.theparadiseparadox.com to give us a little tip. Suggested donation, $1 per episode that you like, but feel free to give more or give less. Micropayments accepted, and lets us know that you're giving us a little love. Feels good, makes us feel good inside. You can also check out our t-shirt designs. What do you have to say about our t-shirts, Aaron?
I really enjoy what we've created here.
5 stars.
Real money. What a weird concept. It features Bitcoin. It features a little gold, a little silver. But you know, it's something that we've produced so you can wear, so you can show the world how you feel about fiat currency, and maybe where you'd rather be.
So
Real
just as Eric
money.
Voorhees said at the LaBitConf the other week, he said, "I'm not buying Bitcoin. I'm selling dollars." So keep that in mind as you buy a shirt. Sell your dollars for a shirt, because that's a fair exchange, in my opinion. And the other thing is, you can jump onto anarchapulco.com. Anarchapulco is coming up in February. ANARCHAPULCO.com, and use the promotional code Paradise. So if you're interested in liberty, if you love liberty and Bitcoin and gold, silver, and fascinating stuff like that, you feel right at home there. So we hope to see you there.
10% discount.
Yeah, it's a 10% discount. So jump onto anarchapulco.com. All right, let's get into it.
I don't know, man. Where do we start? I don't think it's him.
Okay. Tell me who you're talking about.
The end. Okay, the end.
Who are you talking about?
Craig Stephen Wright has recently been accused of being the developer of Bitcoin.
And the cousin of Frank Lloyd Wright, architect of falling water. No, that's not part of the story. Sorry,
it's not in the script.
Okay.
My gut tells me that it's not him. But now we're investigating. So now we're shuffling through papers and having a look to see whether things check out or not. And I still don't think it's him.
Some people talk about facts, intellectualism, and proving what you think is true, but not Aaron Battle. Aaron Battle is a man that has the guts Speak from the gut. Tell you the truth. Lay down the law. Tell you like it is. Craig Stephen Wright is not Mr. Bitcoin.
You got the wrong man. Okay, no, but you sent me a lecture, the presentation from the Vegas Bitcoin conference.
Yep.
That was my primary
Bitcoin
source.
Investor Conference in Las Vegas,
Okay.
Nevada, 29th and 30th of October. Yep.
You saw a few interesting things.
Yeah. But first, let's mention. I mean, you brought up an important point in our discussion. You said, "Why do people care?"
Well, I mean, I asked that because I personally don't care who this guy is. Not because it's not interesting. It's just because it's now out. Bitcoin's out. The blockchain technology's out. There's companies now innovating on it. There's people using it. They're adopting the technology. It's obvious the guy who created it doesn't want to be found. Well,
maybe it is.
I think for good reason didn't want to be in the beginning.
Yeah.
And now it just seems a little bit weird to me that. I mean, okay, maybe the guy, he's still involved in the areas of the technology, and maybe he could be an academic type, and maybe he could slip up and give away his identification, like his character or his.
Yeah, if he somehow steps into the public eye without carefully thinking how he's going to answer some difficult questions, and maybe that could happen. Yeah, but yeah, I agree entirely with what you're saying. Like you got last year, I think it was, when Newsweek came out and they're pointing the finger at this guy who happened to be called Satoshi Nakamoto, which was his real name, but everybody calls him Dorian. And at the conference on the weekend, we got to hear Andreas Antonopoulos' recount of how he taught Satoshi Nakamoto to use Bitcoin, and Satoshi bought him a pastrami sandwich. Obviously, not the real creator of Bitcoin, but Newsweek stuck to that story to the bitter end. I don't think there's ever been like an official denial, like a retraction of Newsweek saying, no, oops, we made a mistake. We just found a guy whose name was Satoshi Nakamoto and we assumed it was the real guy just because he had some background in computer engineering.
Well, it's not that common of a name, I don't think. But then I don't know. I haven't looked in the Japanese phone book. Maybe it is a common name. I know I didn't think Aaron Battle was a common name until I jumped on Facebook, and there's a few thousand of us.
That's true. Yeah, every second person is probably Satoshi Nakamoto or Guy Yamada. Anyway, so yeah, you're right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because Bitcoin is out. It's there's no way to take it back. If you find Satoshi Nakamoto and kill him, it will serve you no good. I mean, the only thing you could possibly do if he still has them, you could get the private keys for the 1 million bitcoins, and turn yourself into a very rich man. That's one reason you could get Satoshi Nakamoto, but that would involve criminal activity, not beyond the scope of many governments, of course. But the information's out there. Like nobody really gives a second thought to say who created the World Wide Web. His name was Tim something or other, but it's not really important.
Yeah, I never met the guy.
Who created the sewing machine? Who created the cotton gin?
Who wrote the Bible?
Nobody knows. Nobody cares.
I don't think people care anymore. It's like they read it.
Well, obviously, it's a divine, the word of God. So that ends that discussion. So
why can't we just say Bitcoin was God's work as well? That would be silly.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but you had three good points, like three different points of view.
Okay. Because we went through the highlights from that Bitcoin investor conference, and there's a few things he says which is interesting. Actually, just about everything he says is interesting if you're looking at it from the perspective of thinking this man might be Satoshi. At the start of his speech, they're asking him who he is, and it seems he has a lot of difficulty answering that question.
He just forgets to answer the question.
Yeah. So the host all but says to him, nobody knows why you're here. And he goes off on a tangent talking about his formal education. And so the thing is, there are many reasons why he might do that. The first reason is he's Satoshi and he doesn't want to say, so naturally he avoids the question by speaking about something which isn't exactly relevant. The second reason is that he's a fake Satoshi and he wants to mislead people into believing that he's Satoshi, and so he's pulling this kind of double bluff. So he's evading the question into making you think that he is Satoshi, evading the question. The third possibility is that he actually has no idea why he's at this conference, or he's been appointed to this conference without a good reason, and so he's answering any way that he can to justify his presence at this conference. So those are a few possibilities of why he might answer in the way he is. So the way he does, rather.
I actually thought it was the third, where he didn't really know why he was there. I mean, like as if this isn't something he does all the time. It's a new appearance within the Bitcoin community. I didn't know who he was, even though it was out a month or two ago.
Well, I didn't think the video came out. I think the video was just uploaded a few days ago, but the conference was,
But then as we get into the meat of the discussion, especially in the question time, he does go to show that he knows quite a bit of depth technically in Bitcoin, which I think is impressive for anybody.
Maybe.
But then a lot of what he said is questionable as well. So I don't know. Where do you take that?
Let's see. Well, there's a few points about that.
We'll start with the questions. Like, if we try and step through this without jumping to the end, I want to.
Well, let's see. Let's talk about his introduction again, because he gets asked, "Were you a miner?" And he says, "A long time ago," which is if you're looking at it from the frame that is he Satoshi, you would say, "Aha." Well, there's only one person who could be a miner a long time ago.
The original.
Yeah. So he's telling the truth, or again, he could be trying to justify his presence, and he's answering the question vaguely. Were you a miner? A long time ago. Like, I only mined for I logged onto a web mining site and I mined for an hour just to see if I would receive any Bitcoins. Someone could ask me that and I could answer honestly, a long time ago. Yeah, I was a miner, like 4 years ago. But it still wouldn't be. It wouldn't be. Yeah,
it's unusual to anybody
to say a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, I've never. Everyone that's been involved in Bitcoin, they jump in, go, I jumped in after the last big boom, a year and a bit ago, or 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, or in the beginning. And, you have these kind of tiers. Everyone comes in at different times, and it's a very exciting time for everyone. Everyone's kind of everyone's got their story. But for someone just to brush it off like a long time ago, for me, he's like a kid at school telling you he went to Disneyland. He never went. He wasn't involved.
Oh, yeah. No. So how was your trip to Disneyland? It was good.
Ago.
It was good. And what did you see there? Mickey Mouse. Mickey. You've heard of him, right? If someone asked me how I got involved in Bitcoin and what I know about Bitcoin and when I started in Bitcoin, I would be, I'm ready with a big long response about each step of the way and each time that I regrettably didn't buy 1,000 of them.
Yeah, usually we break out into interpretive dance. Too much emotion. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so a long time ago it doesn't really fit in the scene, in the community. It doesn't. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't be the only one that would think that's weird. That's all.
Yeah, but it's again, this is possible interpretation. This is what's so fun about watching this speech, because like, is he trying to be vague, or is he trying to bullshit, cover his identity, or bullshit? Or, another possibility that we haven't considered. So about the technical stuff, he gets into this argument. Well, not exactly an argument, but him and Nick Szabo have these conflicting points of view about the potential for Bitcoin. And this is cool because it's like the two Satoshis. Like, a lot of people believe that Nick Szabo is Satoshi Nakamoto, and now a lot of people believe that Craig Wright is Satoshi Nakamoto, and so you get to see them, going against each other, and they're both rather poised in the conversation. Wright basically says that Bitcoin could do whatever Ethereum can do, not explicitly, but he says there. He gets into some technical jargon and is talking about dual stacks. He's talking about, he's saying that there are parts of the Bitcoin protocol which haven't yet been exploited, which could do similar things to what Ethereum is doing. And Szabo says basically that, well, Bitcoin isn't Turing complete. Ethereum is, so that sets them apart significantly. The interesting thing, there's a few interesting things. I mean, if Wright is an imposter and is trying to make people believe that he's Satoshi, he probably wouldn't do that. He probably wouldn't make a vague, not a vague claim. He probably wouldn't make an off-the-wall claim, a claim which almost nobody has made or heard before. That would be a very unusual thing for an imposter to do. Unless, I mean, if we're analyzing it deep here, he could be pulling another double bluff and like, yeah, I'm going to make this very extreme claim, and that way people would think that I'm actually Satoshi. So it's I mean, there's several levels in which it works. This is, just like in a poker game, it depends on the skill of the player, of which level they're trying to outthink you. And we don't really know at which level of thinking Wright is operating in this conference.
Well, okay, let's take the assumption that he's not full of shit, and what he's saying has something to it.
Then, if that's true, I would say almost unquestionably that he's Satoshi Nakamoto.
He knows something that no one else does. He's pulling magic out of hats, saying, well, essentially, my Bitcoin can still do more things that people haven't come across yet. And that to me is like it's a big trigger. It's like there's something here. I've never heard of the term double stack. I'm not a developer. I'm not a programmer. I haven't dived into the back end of the Bitcoin, how the blockchain works. Yeah. But he's throwing out function that hasn't been unraveled yet, or future potential of Bitcoin, where we're still arguing over whether the block size is reasonable, or whether or basic front end function of what miners see. And he's saying, well, there's more here. I don't think people have got their head around blockchain of course I haven't. I mean, we're still looking at decentralized apps and things. But what he's throwing out is like he knows more than what the average intellectual person studying blockchain knows. And so that, I don't know. Or is he just bluffing, going, these guys aren't going to work it out?
Yeah, I can just bullshit them. I mean, if it's I think it's accurate that he's got these like 3 or 4 degrees and doctorates and all this type of education that he claims to have. So if that's true, he probably could make a convincing bullshit case describing this technical capability of the technology, which may or may not exist. So he's probably smart enough to bullshit.
But it does seem like he has the hardware.
Yeah,
like he talks about having this supercomputer, like 15th best supercomputer in the world. You know, just below. I think he says a couple times he missed out on that 14th position. Apparently, the NSA that they apparently own by 3% computing power. And okay, I could tell you, I have a super duper super machine computer in my basement. And people are like, "Oh, cool, Aaron, you have a nice computer." But in this case, you know, the guy that was renting his house also says, you know, that he had 3-phase connections for this machine.
Right.
So I guess
you don't exactly get 3-phase installed on a whim. You might get it if you want to install a super sick G-Wiz fully amazing sound system. It's possible, and run like gigs in your backyard. Run like what are those festivals called?
like a rave.
Yeah, run a rave in your backyard.
Well, I mean, like three phases. Like we're talking industrial pull, like, you know, for a workshop, someone that's welding, or, you know, like super pulling big power, and then I don't know, that's what he had set up at his house, and then, you know, he also talks about moving to. Well, setting his new machine up in Iceland, you know, for electricity costs and things. So he's working on projects. There's something like he does, like it checks out. He's doing something.
Yeah,
that's what he says.
Yeah. Well, I watched his one of his other videos talking about his projects, and it seems like he knows what he's talking about. I don't have a degree in you know, cryptography and computer science or something, but it's got some appearance there. Discussing with Szabo there, he doesn't get rattled. So when Szabo questions him, he doesn't freeze up and say, it just does that stuff. There's no like emotional reaction there, which is it's interesting because in the beginning, of course, there's some sort of hesitance when they're asking him his position, qualifications, and why he's there. But in this case, no, he's like, no, this is how it is. But the first time, let's see, the part about the property rights.
Yeah, this is my favorite bit, because he's able to get an idea and pull together within a few sentences that, well, although you said he made a mistake to begin with.
Which did I? Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So he said that humans are the only animals to respect trade. Sorry, humans are the only animals to trade, which isn't entirely true, because you have the example of this experiment with primates where you give them tokens that represent bananas, and the first thing they do is use them to purchase sex from the females in the tribe. So that's not entirely true, but that's, you know, it's kind of a tangential point. The first thing I noticed when I listened to that bit is that he mentions the words "I'm a billionaire" twice, and it's almost like he's trying to steer that idea in, trying to plant that seed, so people need to understand that I'm a billionaire.
That could be his morning mantra. I might use it, and I might take it up.
I'm a billionaire. It sounds like a number one hit. So he works that in there, like he's saying, like nobody needs to know that I'm a billionaire, and it's an essential right to have this privacy, to live the way that I want to live, as a billionaire.
Yeah, I thought that was clever. I thought it was nice. It's like, you know, this is who I am. This is what I have. I've been in Bitcoin for a very long time. It's like, and it's just like, okay, It's a fair assumption that you are a gazillionaire. It's possible if you're mining back then with your super duper Ferrari computer, like
named Tulip.
Yeah,
and one named .com. I guess that's the generation 2. So he goes through this little speech and saying we should be able to choose how we live. That's a fundamental right of property, and he's talking about the right of privacy of property as well, which is interesting because he's tying privacy directly in with property, which is an interesting way to think about it. Like I've had this thought along a similar line too. Like when the Australian Taxation Office or the IRS, the Canadian Revenue, sends you a letter and they're like asking you for your intimate, personal, financial details. Like, how much money do you earn? Tell me now. I need to know. And getting all up in your business, I mean, that's definitely an invasion of your right to privacy. Like, if you have a right to privacy, you should have a right to what's in your checkbook. But they don't normally grant you that.
Well, even that's a little step that I think a lot of people haven't switched onto just yet.
Yeah,
it's like this. Why would I want to hold anything from my government if they're here to look after me?
I got nothing to hide. I didn't earn $1 billion mining bitcoins. Well, so I would definitely say that Wright talks the talk in terms of being ideologically aligned with Satoshi. Like from his ideology, I would say that this person is a person who could have created a technology designed almost specifically to evade government control. From the way he's speaking here, I would say that's reasonable. Or like these phrases, if taxation is going to occur. Now, not many people, especially not many academics, will utter that phrase. That is a very rare phrase among a lot of humans, especially people in Australia and other Western nations.
If questioning whether it is required,
yes.
Questioning whether it's going to be something.
Yes,
that's
so
going to be.
It's like starting from first principles. Like it's the claimant who must prove his claim. It's not the denier who must prove his denial. So from a burden of proof perspective, this makes sense. Like, let's start with the perspective that taxation is not necessary, and then if you want it, you have to justify it, which is something that somebody who is open to the idea of anarchy would do, which is something that someone who is open to the idea of evading government control would say.
It's a good point, considering that Australia is looking at Bitcoin like an asset.
Yeah.
Considering Australian taxation papers, you're required to keep 5 years. I believe it's 5 years.
I thought it was 7. Yeah,
could be 7. Well, I mean that's
a long ass time.
Well, that's completely within the time frame of Bitcoin going from 0 to, where it's at now, which is about last we checked at 550 US. If you have to pay
450.
Oh yes, 450. If you have to pay stamp duty on that, how much tax would possibly Craig owe if he has 100 million? How many bitcoins does he have?
Well, if you assume that he's Satoshi, he might have control of 1 million bitcoins at least.
It's a lot of tax. It's a shitload of tax.
Yeah, but they only implemented the tax code in the last couple of years, so maybe that's maybe you wouldn't have to pay tax. No, you probably would.
You're going to pay tax either way. But you're telling me they can just make these rules up as we go along? That's what it seems like. And whether you have to pay stamp duty or not on an asset or a commodity, or I don't know, what is Bitcoin? They're still trying to work that out as well.
Yeah.
But they'll never know. They'll never know how many you have, and unless you tell them. Yeah,
use a mixer and use Dash or something, and keep your keys private and don't let anybody know who they're dealing with, and you could probably have some pretty decent evasion of taxes.
I wouldn't recommend it. They'll raid your house.
Press like on YouTube, press like on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, iTunes and Pocket Casts. Follow us on Twitter at BattleAZ, at TroubleBubble, and show your support at donate.theparadiseparadox.com.
Okay, so what else makes you think he's an imposter?
I don't know if he's an imposter, because the thing is, he hasn't ever explicitly, and to my knowledge, he hasn't ever explicitly claimed to be Satoshi. But the strongest case against Wright being Satoshi that I've yet discovered is a couple of points. One thing mentioned in the Wired article is about certain posts from Wright's blog, which are dated to be like 2009 or dated a few days after the Bitcoin launch, something like that. But they're actually backdated posts. So he's put it in WordPress or whatever. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. No, he used Blogspot, I think. So some other site to put his blog on there. But he's actually changed the date on the post to make it appear as if it's 2009. And so that makes it look weird. Like you would say, why would a dude do that unless he wanted to make it appear that he was Satoshi? But on the other hand, I mean, even the accurate date on the posts was like in 2013. So is this guy like sitting patiently waiting like a hawk, like one day I'm going to come out and pretend to be Satoshi and fool the entire world. So that would be slightly strange or slightly calculated, maybe ingenious.
Maybe he forgot to press send.
Okay. Back in 2009.
Yeah, like...
I forgot to publish this.
And just like, nobody would notice. I'll just put that old date back in there. 4 years ago. Back before anyone knew what BTC stood for.
Yeah. And the other point was about the pretty good privacy data. So this comes up in an article on Motherboard on Vice. So it's actually possible to backdate PGP keys and create them for email addresses that you don't control. And according to this article on Vice, judging by the cryptography algorithm that they used, it's likely that they were faked, or they were jimmied, you could say. And this is a key point that was used in the Gizmodo and Wired articles. They were relying on this PGP keys to claim that Wright was Satoshi.
So are they saying it was fairly likely that they were faked, or that it's pretty safe to say that they're not real, like they're being faked?
So it was.
Because that's two very different things to say. You know, there's a possibility that they were faked, or there's very unlikely chance that they're real.
Yeah,
it's like that. That's two totally different points of view.
Okay. So what they're saying, the keys are important because they're not just plain suspicious. There's evidence of active, intentional deception with respect to the keys. So they did point that out in Wired, and it says Wired's Andy Greenberg pointed out that this was already in line with the article, which notes that Wright may have engaged in an elaborate, long-running deception. So this the sleeper scam.
Okay.
Yep.
So then the chances out there that they're being faked is higher.
According to Vice, yes. Yep. So Okay, so you did a little research about the raid and the warrant, the raids conducted on his residence in Australia. What did you find out?
Well, that's what I was interested in, because how does a reasonable academic, like a boring university type, get his house raided, and for what? I mean, on what causes and why? Well, anyway, reading the articles, it says that the house was literally raided several hours after these articles in Gizmodo and Wired. Several hours after these articles were published, and all of a sudden you've got Australian Federal Police, with a certified locksmith, and I'm sure everyone had their certificate in government services, turn up to your house, and without breaking anything, of course, because it's very professional, to have like a warrant access to access your house. When they're asked what are they doing, apparently the policeman said that we're here to clear the house out. I mean
so they just came in to do a little cleaning,
little house cleaning.
They probably had his keys anyway. So
they
give
were
it to the housekeeper.
Well, they're wearing white gloves, and they had computer forensic shirts or jackets, which I was like, I also make the joke, how often would they get to wear those jackets? I mean, computer crime, I don't know, maybe there's someone as a sergeant in charge with excellent foresight. Computer crime's on the rise. We need to spend taxpayers' money on new computer crime outfits.
Yeah, you know what this reminds me of, this case from about 5-6 years ago. And what happened was somebody posted on 4chan saying they were going to walk into such and such mall somewhere in California, in Los Angeles or something, and they were going to shoot up the entire mall. And it was just some kid on 4chan, like he was playing a stupid prank. I mean, it's on 4chan, so you look right at the top of 4chan, and it says anybody who takes this seriously and thinks that any post on here is anything but a work of fiction is a complete idiot. So good luck to you. And the thing was, obviously, the police ignored this warning, and they decided to somehow use some international jurisdiction. So in the article, it reported like these police from the United States coming down to work with the Frankston Computer Crime Division. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Frankston, the F-bomb, hasn't got any computer crime division. Like there's a bunch of bogans in blue suits. That's so that's what I picture with this computer forensics department.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. I don't know these guys, these Frankston crew, but it's
they're top blokes.
Probably something very similar.
Yeah.
So they're there, and they're clearing the house out. They're looking for I don't know what, and then at the end of it, it's like it's got nothing to do with anything to do with bitcoins.
Sure, it doesn't. So it's entirely a coincidence.
So what are you guys doing?
Well, who knows what they're doing?
Middle-aged man, with family, living in nice...
an academic, a professor, a guy with about 16 letters after his name. They just go in to raid his house.
Yeah, living in like a predominant suburb of Sydney. That wouldn't have been... It's not a cheap rent. I mean, obviously the guy's doing something no good, up to mischief. He's got 3-phase electricity to his house.
Yeah, so you're saying he's working on a grow house here.
See, that is believable. Like, whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to bust in on your house, Professor. We just thought you're charging too much electricity.
Yeah, we just thought you were puffing like a champion.
Expanding that mind.
All of the smoke coming out of that chimney had an interesting, delicate mango aroma to it.
Alluring.
Yeah.
So that's basically the gist of the raid. After lunch, 1:30 on Wednesday, a crew of 10 policemen turned up to his house, very carefully opened the house, entered to find that he moved out a week ago or a few weeks ago.
So one point that I brought up when you mentioned this was that the export of encryption, high-level encryption from the USA is classed as a criminal offense because basically under the US law, they consider it a weapon, like on the similar level as they would consider a nuclear weapon. So I thought, I mean, if this guy has supercomputers in his house, he's working on this high-level cryptography, maybe somehow it could be this treatment of this high technology as a weapon. But I don't think the United States police were involved in all this. It was just local police, right?
This is what I'm led to believe.
Okay.
But I mean, that's a scary concept if cryptography is classed as a weapon. The only guys that use weapons are terrorists. And
is that a fact?
Well, it's what the cartoons tell me. And then
LAPD terrorists.
If you're a terrorist,
LAPT. Yeah.
Don't be expecting fair trial and not guilty until proven guilty. The rules aren't set up that way. But then again, I'm not going to be your lawyer. I just wouldn't want to be classed. I mean, can you imagine being in Australia and all of a sudden you're accused of being a terrorist? They come to raid your house just because you have a cryptography weapon in the form of a Bitcoin miner in your garage.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like when Bernard von Nothaus got arrested in the U.S. and some senator was quoted as saying, so Bernard von Nothaus, the guy behind the Liberty Dollar, he was creating his own currency, this silver rounds, which he was distributing as currency, and people were using it in his town as currency. And a senator was quoted as saying, "It's just a form of domestic terrorism, they're undermining the strength of the US dollar, and that's just unacceptable. It's terrorism. So if they could lock von Nothaus up, I'm sure they could find a way to construe whatever Satoshi is doing as terrorism, or whatever Wright is doing as terrorism.
Well, as soon as you start to ruffle those feathers and they start putting this big red label terrorism on what can be considered, just an app coming out of the next iPhone, there's some kind of I don't know, like there's where things don't connect together well, when it's like, people that are struggling to remain in control, or people that are trying to keep everything contained, and then you got technology that's just letting kids buy golden AK-47s just because they've got a Bitcoin account, and it's like this isn't going to happen, this isn't real, but it could be.
It's the world we live in. I mean, if you want to go on the dark net, you get some Bitcoins. But, you could be a 10-year-old kid saving up in your piggy bank and use that money to buy, if you've got $300, $500, buy a gold-plated AK-47. It's not advice. I'm just saying you could do it. You don't have to.
I'm thinking encouraging your kids to start playing chess at an early age. Yeah. And they find an online, chess game, house.
Well, these kids are training for war. They're training for military strategy. I mean, a chessboard could be classed as a military weapon.
And they're winning Bitcoins doing this.
Yeah.
That's all kinds of potential. I hate to think these kids have creativity. But anyway, let's shake that off.
Forget about terrorism for just a little while. Relax. Sit back. Everything is fine. So what do you think is the most convincing point for or against Wright being Satoshi?
Okay.
Mr. Satoshi N. Mr. Guy Daigoji. Yes.
I thought there's no way. There's no way this guy is Mr. Bitcoin. Like Satoshi Nakamoto. There's no way he's the guy. Yeah. But that was watching the first half of the presentation.
Yeah. It's easy to dismiss.
But then when he just showed calm character, he spoke well. He knew what he was talking about, and he's talking about technical things that people at I guess our level of Bitcoin immersion. I couldn't explain that to you about double stack programming and that Bitcoin potentially is full turning.
But is that just a bunch of bamboozling? I don't know if.
Well,
Yeah,
I guess for me, that was the point that makes me want to think more. That makes me talk about it. Is he or isn't he? I don't know. And he's got big computers like that. That helps.
Yeah, that's true. That's an important data point. Yeah.
So that's kind of me saying he's a potential.
Yeah.
But is he the guy? I don't think so.
Okay.
What's your strong point?
I think that there's strong points against that. I mentioned like the backdating blog posts. I mean, why would anyone do that unless they wanted to make people deliberately believe they were Satoshi when they weren't? Because I don't think Satoshi being quiet for so long, it seems like he doesn't want to be found. But then somebody coming into the public space and apparently deliberately making people think that he is Satoshi, and it makes it seem suspicious. Doesn't entirely rule it out, but there's it does lower the possibility. So yeah, it's hard to say. So I think my percentage likelihood of Wright being Mr. Bitcoin, Mr. Satoshi Nakamoto. Well, it's really hard to put a number on. I think around 20%, a low 20%.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I threw out 15. I thought that was too low, but then thinking about it, it made me think that originally I've always been led to believe that Bitcoin was created by an anonymous team.
Yep.
Just because they talk about the code being inconsistent, there's comments that are just it's almost like you're reading code by a team. It's not one person that's coding the whole thing. So I thought, okay, well, this changes the question. What happens if Craig Wright is part of this team somehow?
Yep.
What percentage would I give of possibility that he's a possible Bitcoin team member? And that's much higher. I'm thinking, well above 50. I mean, I think it's potential. Like he knows a lot of. Well, he knows. He talks the talk. He's comfortable with all that.
Yeah.
So I could say maybe 70% chance that he's part of a secret Bitcoin brotherhood.
Yeah, and maybe it's like some like power play. Like what if he's going for the glory? Maybe he's an egotist, and it's like, well, we agreed not to bring up the Satoshi point. Like among the secret cabal of like 6 or 7 members, including Nick Szabo and Mark Capella. So not Mark Capella. That's just a joke. Relax. And then they then he tries to make this power play, plants the seed in 2013 and backdates his blog so he can make it appear that he has that history there, and then so he can step up and get the Nobel Prize. Maybe. I mean, that's a possibility. Yeah.
Yeah, just taking a little bit of the spotlight.
Yeah.
But let's take this a little one step further.
Yeah.
What if, because we're talking about this one creator of Bitcoin sitting on maybe 100 million Bitcoin?
What? There's only 15 million in existence. One million.
Dollar value. How much?
Right.
No, 400.
Okay.
400. Well, today's value, 400 million.
So 400, about a 450 million.
450. Yeah, it's always changing. That's a shitload of money. Of value, and I'm thinking it's only going to
not quite $1 billion though.
I mean that's today.
Yeah.
After Christmas, who knows? Or 2017, 2020.
I mean, Well, Bitcoin reached 1,000, so he could still have this. If he was actually blurting something out and saying billionaire, he could have been thinking about back once upon a time when the Bitcoin price was at $1,100.
Yeah. So there's a lot at stake. And if there's a team, maybe they made this oath to say it doesn't belong to anyone until the last man is standing.
Okay, you're picturing like Satoshi Nakamoto is Jet Li in the one. And they
gotta juke it all the way.
Yeah, or like that episode of the Simpsons with the devilfish. And
the hellfish, yeah. I don't know if that's them. But yeah, it's like, you need to beat Mr. Burns, outlive the old guy, and then you get...
We'll be rich. Rich as Japanese Nazis. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Hey,
okay.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
I'm not in the team, so I don't care.
Fuck them. Yeah. Forget Satoshi. We got what we wanted from this transaction. So if Craig Wright, if indeed you are Satoshi Nakamoto, good luck.
Yep.
So thanks for listening, guys. My name's Kurt Robinson.
My name's Aaron Battle.
And you can head on over to, you can check us out on YouTube. Like, subscribe on iTunes, Pocket Cast, Podcasts, Podcast Addicts. Subscribe using snail mail if you write to 123 Satoshi Avenue in Washington, D.C., the center of criminals, district of criminals. And you can jump onto theparadiseparadox.com. You can send us a little micropayment using Satoshi Nakamoto, Cyberchrist, the gift. Make a micropayment. Give us 5 cents a piece for each episode that you liked. Suggested donation $1, but that's always devaluing. So choose your own denomination. And what else?
Yes. No. Well, while you're on the website, I love donations. Thank you to all that have.
Yeah.
And while you're on the website, up the top, please check out our shirt designs. Real money. It's our favorite so far. We have shirts all sizes. I think a good value. Delivered to your door. You don't have to go outside. Just order it, and you got
at your convenience.
You got a brand new.
Almost as convenient as using Bitcoin.
Can you pay Bitcoin?
I don't think so. It's pretty cheap.
Yeah. But send me the Bitcoin. I'll buy it for you.
Yeah, that's another option too.
I'll wear it for you too.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's these real money shirts. They got Bitcoin, gold, and silver on them, and so represent your love for real money, sound currency with these shirts, and beam out your special love for capitalism to the universe. And then, so we, of course, last weekend we went to the Latin American Bitcoin conference in Mexico City. And we met up with a lot of liberty-minded, interesting people, interesting speakers. But in February, Acapulco is coming up, so you can come on down with us and say hello and meet lots of interesting people. It's great. We went this year rather, and it was fantastic. Just the vibe was amazing. There's such a sense of community because everybody has that understanding that they're all liberty-minded, that they don't want to advocate violence against anybody. So it makes everybody feel more free and clear and ready to express themselves and give out free hugs or be a capitalist and charge 50 pesos for a hug. Nobody did that. I might do that next year.
So if you're not exactly sure of what we're talking about, check out our Acapulco episodes to get an idea of what we're talking about, or acapulco.com.
Yep. ANARCHAPULCO.com. And when you register, or when you go to register, type in promotional code Paradise. That's going to give you a 10% discount. It'll make your dick erect in your pants and splurt a huge glob of disgusting semen all over the monitor because you'll be so excited and coming to Acapulco.
I can't guarantee that effect, but you will be excited.
Great.
I'm excited. No offense.
Okay. So thanks so much for listening, guys. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for listening to the Paradise Paradox. Remember, if you want to check the show notes, get all the interesting details, little tidbits and links, head on